where we've got none with Poch.
Yeah, no, it was, it makes you wonder too, 90 plus, or whatever it is, 90 minutes, 80 minutes that they were in, pissing down rain, Manchester, it's cold, it's dank, and that exhausts you too, running on a pitch like that, especially from a defensive standpoint. And then Martial coming on with his pace, very nice, nothing to take away from Lukaku, because the flick on was quite brilliant. If one of our players had done the exact same thing, we'd be, just totally all over the moon about that and lauding their efforts. So, pace kind of outdid us there. One tiny lapse in concentration, and that's what can happen in the Prem. So it happened. It's 1-0. Timmy, when you look at Kane being out, and he is such a talisman, I think NBC highlighted the fact that he had a shot on goal or an opportunity in the previous week against Liverpool. That didn't pan out. Liverpool was on the counterattack, and Kane sprinted 80 yards downfield and became the defender in the box. That halted their play and got things turned around going the other way. You're not going to find that effort, not out of Llorente and not out of any other probably center forward in the league. Did yesterday really highlight the fact, not that Pep Guardiola was right, that it's a one-man team, but that he is basically the captain without the armband, and that we really need him on the pitch?
I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, but I mean,
does this
we're
dress
not
make
a
me look
one-man.
fat?
We're not a one-man team, but Harry is arguably one of the best players in the world. When he's not on the pitch, you're going to miss him, and I don't want to bring up much on his defensive contributions coming back, because I don't think missing that is what cost us this match.
Okay.
It was going up against a back three with Sonny, who does not play like a traditional striker. Chairs mentions it oftentimes. A cross came into the box and no one was there. That's because Sonny doesn't play like the traditional striker, a lone man up top. He doesn't wait in the box for those crosses. And also, he's not going to out-jump Phil Jones or Eric Bailly. He's just not big enough to do that. And so I think that's the problem you have when you're playing with Sonny up top. And then he wasn't really helped much by Ollie and Eriksson either. They had quiet performances. So I think, you can point to those three as a whole, not creating much without Kane up there. And I think that's one of the reasons is because Kane is so good. He's so strong up top. He takes two defenders away by himself and opens up the space.
Yeah.
And Son just doesn't really do that. You can put him in against when they're playing two center backs. He can try and make runs in behind them. But when you're going up against three center backs, they have that covered.
Yes, scheme-wise, you have to say that Mourinho did what Mourinho does, right? They attacking us lends itself for us to be able to counterattack. But I think not having that big target in the middle and just solely relying on pace when he's going to sit basically three or four guys back, it nullifies the pace. You don't have to worry about that. They don't play center forwards forward the way that we do when we're pressing teams. So it worked for him. They got the goal, 1-0. And then you have to move on.
I think Dyer, I want to talk about the goal because I think Dyer's getting too much stick himself for it. It's a combination of all three center backs on this goal. It's a lapse in concentration by the three of them at the end of this match that cost us the game. So you look at the goal by itself. It's coming off of a goal kick. So Dyer one is playing flat-footed. He plays Martial on sides, fails to follow up with him on the run. So I think you can put at least 50% of this, maybe 60% on Dyer. Yes, he is at fault for this. But if you look at Vertonghen, he's also caught flat-footed. Coming from a goal kick, he starts in poor positioning. He's not anywhere close to Martial. He's not able to help out when he makes that run. He doesn't start on a goal kick, goal side of Martial. So I think you can point some blame at him as well. I mean, get your fucking head in the game. There's 10 minutes left. Get goal side of the player. And then Toby, that was the second time in a few minutes that he was out-jumped by Lukaku. Lukaku's the one who puts the header on to Martial. A couple minutes before that, Toby gets out-jumped by him on a cross that hits the post. So I think you can point at all three of our center backs as having a lapse in concentration at the very end of the game that cost us a point. And it's really upsetting because up until then, They have played so well. Dyer had an amazing game up until that goal. And, you saw at one point where he's screaming at other players, telling them to get their fucking head in the game.
Yeah.
And then he goes and does that himself.
Yeah, it's really hard, right? Because we've seen players, Sonny comes to mind last year, that would do nothing for 88 minutes and then go and get a goal that wins us a match. I mean, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Look, we're upset about it. A point at Old Trafford would have been great. A win would have been wonderful because next week a lot of the bigger clubs and big clubs play each other, right? So Arsenal plays City. United play Chelsea, and we have an opportunity against Crystal Palace at Wembley to maybe steal some points if those matches end in draws, or if there's losses, teams are going to be dropping points. So to get a point there would have been great. To Simon's point, City look like they're going to run away with this thing. Not only are they scoring 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the hell they want a match, but they're not giving up anything either. Defensively, they've bought their defense that Pep wanted. So. But not to concentrate on them. So let's kind of segue into Poch's away record. Simon and I were discussing this before we got started. He had found some information about his record away at Spurs versus the top 6 was it one
win in 16.
1 win in 16
in his 4 seasons. Obviously, that's the only away win, so away fixture so far this season. But his first season was 0-1-4, and it was 1-3-1. The away win was the City Valentine's Day game. Mm-hmm. Last season was 0-2-3, and obviously we got the 1 loss. And so I get it. And this was a Sky Sports graphic that somebody else picked up on. It says Poch has done a great job so far, but was shocked to see this yesterday. Needs to change if we're to win silverware. And so, yeah, it is, because you got to win at the top side. You've got to be able to go there. One, you definitely don't want to lose, so a draw is good. But there are times you've got to come away with a better record over the course of the season. So this is clearly not happening. I thought, well, I remember that this is not a great statistic for our club. So I went back this morning, 10 seasons. I went back to the 04-05 season. So this is 10 seasons before Pochettino. I just wanted to see. And so it's a constant. It's the 2 Manchester clubs. It's Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool. And it's interesting reading. I'm just going to really, really quickly go through it so as not to bore the listeners. The overall record is 9-11-30. So Poch is in great company. Not once. Well, there is one season in there where we've won more than 1 game on the road. We've never won at Chelsea. We won twice at United. We talked about that yesterday. It was, of all people, AVB one season, followed up the next season by Dim Tim. That's it for those guys. So, granted, they weren't at the helm for long, but they only ever had 1 away win per season. Harry probably got the longest tenure in here next to Martin Jol. He had 4 away wins. He had 2 in 1 season at Arsenal and Liverpool. It's the only time in those 10 seasons that we got wins at Arsenal and Liverpool. Poch hasn't done it either. So that's 14 seasons so far. And then Martin Jol was in the seasons that contributed to 3. And you got to put it into perspective. In those first 5 years, actually it's 6, when we got 5 away wins. So in 6 seasons, 5 away wins against the top 5. They were all against City. And that's a City team that weren't the City of today. Yeah. So in those first 6 seasons, we didn't get results at United, Arsenal, Chelsea, or Liverpool. So it's not a Pochettino thing. It's a Tottenham thing. And any pundit will tell you that this has gone on for a long time. And I didn't go back beyond that, and I will this afternoon, because now I'm curious as to figuring out when were we competitive as a club against these top 6 rivals. And it's that decade where we started to come to prominence. I guarantee you're getting any Spurs fan that was around in the mid to late 90s and the mid noughties will tell you we sucked worse than if you want to put it into perspective now. So I guarantee you we weren't getting better results at those clubs then. So it's something we do need to figure out. You like to think that Pochettino will get it sorted out, but I think he's got 4 more fixtures. Liverpool away, Chelsea away, Arsenal away, and City away. City away is looking daunting, as we've already talked. But if he can get a couple of results there, it'll shut these people up, and we can start turning this around, and we can kick on from there. But it was interesting digging up those stats.
Yeah, I think it'll be, better as this project continues. And again, you have to preach patience to Spurs supporters, and no one wants to hear it, right? I'll be dead before they win a trophy again. Is what you'll hear.
Right, and again, it's. I know the book. I haven't listened to the pod from Thursday, so apologies. But the book, it holds Poch up as this great innovator and man manager, and I'm not saying that's not the case. But at the end of the day, you are going to be measured on what you put in the trophy cabinet. That's what every manager is measured on throughout their career, not their win percentage at rivals on the road, not how many records you had broken in a season and at home. It's about the trophies.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see what some of those other teams' records on the road against the top 5 or top 6. Obviously, that top 6 includes us. So, and to a point we talked about before the show, we probably beat ourselves more than those teams beat us. So you could almost add that in succinctly. Let's move on. We'll get away from United, get away from Pochettino talk at this point. However, we do have 2 big matches coming up, and midweek Real Madrid is one of those that is a bit daunting, obvious, for the obvious reasons, but it also puts us in a position as a team to be looking a 3rd loss in a row on the trot. You just can't have that. You really can't. I think it's the psyche of this team. I don't think it's fragile. Pochettino makes sure of that, but it's you get used to it if you let it. And I think it's going to be really important to get something out of this game if you at all possibly can. So as we segue into Tim's Master of the Macabre injury updates, I'm really interested to see if Kane has any chance whatsoever of playing this week. Tim, take it away.
All right, so I'll start with our opposing teams first. Real Madrid is the same 2 that we knew of last time we played them just a couple weeks ago. Mateo Kovacic is out with a ruptured patella. Dani Carvajal still has his heart problem with the mucus around the membrane of his heart. Both of them are out. Gareth Bale has returned to training, recovering from his calf injury. He has not played a single minute in the match since the end of September when they played against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. Given that, with the lack of playing time, lack of fitness, I wouldn't expect him to start, but he could definitely feature as an impact sub against us this week. Keylor Navas has not played in their last 2 games since they played us. He's been held out with a groin injury. I mean, it was a League Cup match against a 2nd division team, and then they're playing Girona this weekend. I think he's just being held out precautionary, so I wouldn't be surprised if Keylor Navas is fit and available to play this week. So those are the 2 that are out on Real Madrid is Kovacic and Carvajal. As for Crystal Palace, Kenny's favorite, Wilfried Zaha, made his return this weekend, played a full 90, picked up the equalizer in the 96th minute, so we will see him. Mamadou Sakho picked up a minor calf injury in their last training session before the West Ham match. This is only considered to be minor, but they haven't really said anything about it since that. There hasn't been a press conference about it because they had already announced their injuries, and he picked it up in the training session after their pre-match presser. So he could be fit to return against us. James McArthur, they were hoping he would recover in time for West Ham. He faced a late fitness test, underwent extensive treatment all week to try and get fit for it, but he wasn't able to play. Sounds like he'll be available against us. Now, we know Christian Benteke is out. He's been out since September with the MCL injury. Connor Wickham has been out with a serious ACL injury since last November. So those 2 are definitely out. The one we're really looking at is Patrick Van Aanholt. He picked up a non-contact injury really early in this match. to his hamstring while crossing a ball. He had to be subbed off. He's undergoing scans to determine the